John Rhys Davis here, Salah in Indiana Jones, and Gimli in Lord of the Rings. Give 'em hell, 3 guys and a flick.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Certainty of death? Small chance of success? What are we waiting for?
Three guys and a flick with Don, Ken, and John. Dive into the movies well after the dawn. From the good to the bad to the wildly absurd. They give a fuck about films. Their voices are heard.
Welcome back. You are listening to Three Guys and a Flick. This is where we review the good, the bad, and the absurd. Tonight's episode, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Beware spoilers. Coming to you from Shelob's lair, where we're just hanging around, my name is Don. Hey, what's all this sticky stuff?
I got a little excited.
Oh, that tracks. And to my right, we have the comic book guy, John.
Magovanen. That's Elvish for well met.
Nerd.
And to my left, we have the professor, Ken.
Hello, everybody.
How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, John?
It's bittersweet. I'm excited that we are doing Return of the King, but I'm sad this is the last of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, well, I mean, it all has to come to an end.
Until we start the Hobbit trilogy.
How are you doing?
All things being considered equal, I'd rather be in Philadelphia.
Okay, then.
So there you go. Tonight we are talking about The Return of the King. The Return of the King rounds out the Lord of the Rings trilogy submitted by Ezra and Matthew O. So again, fellas, thank you so much for throwing that into the Broncos helmet. We had a lot of fun watching it. We hope you have a lot of fun listening. Released on December 17th, 2003, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King was directed by Peter Jackson. Screenplay by Fran Walsh, Barry M. Osborne, and Peter Jackson. Based on the book, The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. Music by Howard Shore. And it stars Elijah Wood, Ian McClellan, Liv Tyler, Viggo Mortensen, Sean Astin, Cate Blanchett, John Rhys Davies, Billy Boyd, Dominic Monaghan, Orlando Bloom, Hugo Weaving, Andy Serkis, Miranda Otto, Bernard Hill, David Winham, Carl Urban, John Noble, and a bunch of other goblins and orcs.
How'd this movie do, Don?
This movie was made for $94 million, like the other two, and brought in $1.2 billion.
That's not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all.
Yeah, when you look at these movies, the first one, Fellowship, North American box office, 8 weeks in the top 10, and it made $470 million, while it was in the box office. Two Towers, it was also 8 weeks in the top 10, and it did $554 million. And The Return of the King, 13 weeks in the top 10. However, domestically, it only cleared $378 million.
Really?
Yeah.
With the fact that I think it's a half hour longer than both Fellowship and Two Towers, that probably has something to do with it, because that's going to limit how many screenings you have per day as well.
Oh, true that.
So, yeah. How many times did you see this in the theater?
Conservatively, I'd say probably 4 or 5 times.
That's conservatively?
Probably, yeah, because in my younger days, when I really loved movies, I would drag anybody to the theater that I could, just for the sake of seeing it again. On the big screen. Could
you imagine if we knew each other in 2003? Crazy. What about you?
I'd say at least 3 times, maybe 4 times. I'm a huge fan. This is one of my go-to movies. In fact, I was just commenting earlier that on Wednesday night, I watched the full extended version, and then on Thursday, I went back and watched the regular version and enjoyed it both as much the same time, or both times.
Yeah, right on. I saw this 4 times. I distinctly remember all 4 times seeing it, because this movie was the end of the trilogy. It's what we've all been waiting for, and it didn't fucking disappoint.
One thing I found I thought was kind of humorous is Peter Jackson gave Elijah Wood and Andy Serkis both prop rings of the actual One Ring, but didn't tell each of them that they had given it to the other person. So they had to find that out years later during an interview.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson, for the trilogy, he was paid $30 million plus 10% of the box office receipts. And so with that, he's got to be clearing $160 million easy for this work.
Yeah.
It's just like, holy shit, man, that's bank.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it ever since Fellowship. This trilogy was a fucking game changer. And the fact that it still holds up and it's still equally as powerful now.
It's going to be timeless.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, I cried just as much the other night watching it as I did in the fucking theater. And I know the beats are coming. So come on, right?
Did you know how Tolkien's family felt about this movie and about the trilogy?
No, I did not.
They thought that Peter Jackson did a good job of respecting Tolkien's work. But the one thing that they had requested that they preferred is there would be no merchandising. They didn't want this to appear on everything from cups to little statues to figures to everything. And they kind of lost that battle.
You think?
Another thing I found out, I didn't realize this, is when Tolkien was writing this book, first of all, he meant it to the whole trilogy just to be a short set of stories, and then ended up taking on a life of itself and just growing and growing as he got further, deeper and deeper into it. But he never was happy with the title of this book. He did not want the title to be Return of the King because he thought that gives away the ending. He wanted it to be War of the Ring.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's good because there's only one return, and it ain't of the fucking king. Speaking of Tolkien, and we kind of touched on the extended versions and how it adds time and it adds more of what Tolkien was writing, this, that, and the other. I have seen the extended version for all of them, and I will say this about Return of the King. I think Peter Jackson cut as much as he possibly could to make everything coherent for the person who hadn't read the stories, and he fucking nailed it. And going back and I watched some of the stuff from the extended versions, though entertaining, in my mind, completely unnecessary. So,
do you have a preferred version? Do you like
the theatrical?
You like the theatrical?
Oh, by far.
You can.
I thought that the Two Towers had the best of the extended stuff, and Fellowship and King stand on their own without the extended.
I'm almost a little bit opposite of that. I really liked the Return of the King extended version, mainly because of what we get in the beginning with Christopher Lee as, Sauron, and how he dies and how he gets impaled again, just like he was when he was a vampire. They made a joke about that.
But it doesn't follow Tolkien's writing. That's all made up.
That actually, the parts of it came from the Lord of the Rings came from the second book, Two Towers, and wasn't in Return of the King.
No, he does. That's not how Saruman dies, though.
Well, he died. Yeah, you're right. He dies in the Shire later on.
So it's all made up.
In one of the 6 endings that are in the book.
Yeah. And so that's ultimately why they cut it.
Yeah.
Right. So we talked about the Oscar run that Fellowship and Two Towers had. And we had mentioned that, they're going to make up for it here. And sure as shit, 11 for 11. Fucking impressive.
How often does that happen that something goes, every award they're nominated for, they won?
Not a lot of movies have won the amount of Oscars that they were nominated for that year. I know Titanic did it with 13. Lord of the Rings did it with 11. And I'm not sure if Silence of the Lambs did it, but
maybe Ben-Hur.
Maybe. Listeners, if we're fucking this up, let us know.
I was thinking Silence of the Lambs as well.
I know they won the big 5.
Yeah.
I was surprised in all the awards that they won that they weren't nominated for Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor for any of the roles.
Yeah, no acting award nominations for The Lord of the Rings.
And I got to say, it's pretty staggering that they just swept the way that they did.
Yeah, for Return of the King. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing, Best Makeup, Best Original Song, Best Original Score, Best Song Mixing, and Best Visual Effects. So, that's pretty fucking impressive. I completely forgot that Annie Lennox did the Into the West song at the very end.
Yeah.
I fucking love that song. It's very peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think it's like a good bookend to what you just watched. So, yeah. All right, 3 movies in, and we've talked about the cast, but it all kind of culminates here. For Elijah Wood, is this his strongest performance out of the 3?
I would say yes. In my opinion, To see him so exhausted, so beat down, and really straining, yeah, I would say this was probably the strongest of the three.
Yeah.
I think so too. What about you?
No, absolutely, because he is, dragged across all of Middle Earth, and at the end of it, he looks like it. And Sean Astin,
I would say the same thing about Sean Astin.
absolutely.
Yeah, both of them definitely increase in their intensity of their character portrayal.
And I think that's the point where I was going with it. Everybody brought their A game for this final film. And what blew me away was how well Bernard Hill, Theoden, I loved him in this. Yes.
He was great.
And what I noticed about this movie, watching it again, is there are so many great little bits and moments and scenes that, it's just phenomenal.
And come on, John Noble, who's the new edition as Denethor, he was so easy to hate in this movie. I mean, I thought he did a good job of playing that horrible character.
And I'm going to say something here, and it's probably going to be really super controversial, but you know me. Did we really need that storyline?
Yeah, what is the point of that story arc? Is it to drive the Boromir-Faramir story arc? Or
is it to show that Gondor has no defenses? I mean, I as I'm watching it, and John Noble does a great job, and when Pippin gets to him, and we'll get there, but overall, in a streamlined story, I don't know what it did for me.
Do you want to know the reasons why he was in it? Or why that character was in it? There's actually two reasons, and it's really given in the book more than it's given in the movie, is what he portrayed, which is he portrayed somebody. What they don't show in the movie is he had been using one of those Palantirs to talk to Saruman, and that had slowly destroyed his faith in man and destroyed his confidence to the point where he had gone mad.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, like I said, you don't get that from the movie. You get that from the book.
Yeah, well, either way, I'm just saying that, this movie is 3.5 hours. I thought we could have cut a lot of Denethor of it out, and it would have been just fine.
The other reason I was going to give is why it had to be in the movie, even though, like you said, it felt like it was too much, is that Peter Jackson was trying so hard to be faithful to the book as much as he could. And because he was in the book, felt he had to put him in the movie. There were a lot of things in this movie that Peter Jackson either didn't like or particularly hated, but he still put it in to try to be faithful to the book. The example I would give is the whole ghost scene with the ghosts fighting and going towards Gondor, doing all that. He hated that whole ghost action. He didn't want that in the movie, but he said he had to put it in to be faithful to the book.
Oh, sure. Kind of a big plot point in the book, right? So, anyone else in the cast that jump out at you?
Billy Boyd. I thought Billy Boyd showing his singing chops.
Pippin, right?
Pippin, yes.
Oh, I thought Pippin was fantastic
and I
in
thought
this movie.
he shined a little bit. Both of them, actually, Mary and Pippin, both kind of shined this movie. But originally, Peter Jackson, when he cast him, didn't plan for him singing. But I guess when they went out one night, he did some karaoke and he heard his voice. And he's like, I've got to put him in it to sing the song.
Yeah, that was great. I thought he did great.
Billy Boyd took the lyrics from the book and added his own melody to it. So that's his own melody singing it.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool.
So what do you think, Professor? Is it about that time?
Yeah, I think it is about that time. It's going to be kind of interesting because this is going to be a bit of a drag race between you two. All right, here we go. Question number 1. What was the name of the giant spider that Gollum led Frodo to? Don.
Shelob.
Correct. Question number 2. In King Theoden's tent on the eve of the Battle of Minas Tirith, who tells Aragorn, put aside the ranger, become who you were born to be?
John. Elrond.
Question number 3. At the beginning of the film, we are told the history of Gollum and how he came to be. Smeagol murders his friend so he can have the ring for himself. What was his friend's name? John.
Deagle, and it was actually his cousin.
Question number 4. How far is Minas Tirith from Rohan?
Don. It's a 3-day ride by the Nazgul flies.
Correct. Question number 5. Who says the last words in the movie and the trilogy?
Don.
Samwise Gamgee.
Correct.
What does he say?
Well, I'm back.
And with that, this round, I have 3 for Don.
That's probably the best game we've had.
But The sad thing is I did know them all too, so we both knew all the answers.
I know.
No.
I know both of you. That's why I was calling it a drag race.
Yeah.
Oh no, you actually knew the 3-day ride. I didn't remember the 3-day ride.
I couldn't remember if it was 3.5 or 3, but I went with 3. The film opens with the origin of Gollum, once a hobbit named Smeagol who murders his cousin Deagle for the One Ring and slowly transforms into a twisted creature. Centuries later, as the War of the Ring unfolds, Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and King Theoden travel to Isengard to reunite with Merry and Pippin. Gandalf acquires Saruman's Palantir, which Pippin later looks into, prompting a vision of Minas Tirith under threat. Realizing Sauron plans to attack Gondor, Gandalf races with Pippin to warn Denethor, the steward of Gondor. With encouragement, Pippin lights the beacons, calling Rohan for aid. Meanwhile, Frodo and Sam continue toward Mordor, guided by Gollum, who secretly plots betrayal. The group nears Minas Morgul and witnesses the Witch King's army march toward Gondor. Gollum manipulates Frodo into distrusting Sam, resulting in Frodo sending Sam away. So this movie opens up with the Lord of the Rings title, and we get a introduction again before the title card, but this time we get the origin of Gollum. What'd you guys think of this beginning?
It was good to have.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was good to see. Oh, wow, look at that. He's a hobbit.
Apparently, this whole scene was supposed to be in Two Towers, but they ran out of time, so they moved it over to Return of the King.
Well, I mean, if we're talking technicality, Shelob should have been in the Two Towers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, you move this stuff to Return of the King, and I thought this opening was great. What I didn't know, because I never read the books, Smeagol doesn't find the ring. It's Deagle.
Right.
And the hand that we see in Fellowship when they're telling the backstory, I always thought was Smeagol's hand.
Same.
But no, it was fucking Deagle's.
One of the things that I don't know if I ever noticed it before, but you guys have got me to kind of start looking at the filming techniques and the styles that they use in movies. When Deagle gets the ring and gets up on shore and he's looking at the ring, and then you see Smeagol looking over his shoulder at the ring, did you notice they used a gold filter on their faces and that everything started to look gold?
Yeah, just the reflection of the ring.
Yeah, and I thought that was kind of a neat technique that they used.
Yeah. And then what'd you think of the whole transformation? How he's telling the story, he's crying, and he's...
The montage?
Yeah.
I liked it up until a certain point where he starts to look like Gollum, and I thought that... I didn't think they did a great job with that makeup look of him, because it didn't look like the final Gollum to me.
Well,
are you talking about that one shot when he comes up and he has those really sunken looking eyes?
Yeah, and the hair's almost gone.
Yeah. But what you get right there is you get those flat white ghosty eyes, but then, he gives a blink and bam, there's Smeagol's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or there's Gollum's eyes.
Yeah. I thought that was a fantastic shot. The way they melded it together for him to become Gollum. And do you notice when he's eating the fish, he's singing the song that he was singing in the river from Two Towers?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a nice little callback as well. And then we're with Sam, Frodo, and
Yeah.
Gollum.
We cut to Sam and he's sleeping, but Frodo is not.
No. And then we see Gollum pop up, wakes everybody up. And I like the line where Sam looks at Frodo and says, "You haven't slept at all, have you?" And Frodo's like, "No." And Sam immediately is, "I've gone and had too much." And, he's blaming himself. And I'm just like, Sam, dude, come on.
I also like, that he starts, bringing out more bread.
More llamas bread.
But what's really telling at this moment when he brings it out, and he does that bit, Sam's like, "I've got it all figured out." What? What's that? Well, I'm rationing it, for the trip home. And that look that Frodo has, he's looking at Sam like, "We're not going home."
Oh, really? I took it the opposite way.
I took it that Frodo thinks that this is a one-way trip.
I took it as a moment of hope. And for that moment, Frodo thought, "Oh, well, yeah, maybe we could go home. But
certainly
Yeah.
Sam has the hope.
oh, absolutely. And he's the hope of the journey.
I kind of felt that this scene was put there to show that right now Sam has hope and figures they're going to go home, which makes it even more bittersweet at the end of the movie when Sam says, I don't think we're going to make it home.
We get Gandalf and his merry little band arriving at Isengard to find Merry and Pippin rather jovially enjoying themselves.
And smoking the weed.
I love, yes. And I love how they're riding through the forest and the trees are like groaning and they're talking. And then the camera pulls up. We get the Gondor theme and then the title card, Return of the King. So I think that might be my favorite one of the trilogy.
I love how Trient refers to Gandalf as young master Gandalf.
I thought that was cute.
Gandalf is supposed to be like 3,000 years old.
Yeah, well, this fucking tree's pretty
I was
old.
to say either Trient is older than him or he's being sassy.
Yeah, Treebeard.
Treebeard, I mean.
Yeah, he is an Ent. Yeah, I like how they all ride up, and Aragorn gives this great little smirk when he sees Merry and Pippin just chilling on the fucking wall because they're on guard duty, and they ride in. And
Did the salted pork make you hungry?
no, it was the fucking pipe weed, bud. That's
Time,
what made me hungry.
It made me sound crazy. And I did it this time too. Every time I watch this over and over again at that scene, I pull out a bag of beef jerky.
Oh, there you go. And so everybody rides up, and we see that Treebeard's standing in front of the tower, and he's saying, I got Saruman up there. It's all good. And Gimli's like, well, let's go cut this fucker's head off and be done with it. And Gandalf's like, no, it's not even worth it. During this part, Pippin, being the inquisitive hobbit that he is, finds the eye of Palantir.
Yeah, which basically, in the extended version, which you're right, does not happen in the book. When Sauron dies, he drops the Palantir into the water right in front of Pippin.
And so he picks it up, and Gandalf's like, give me that fucking thing, right? Because you don't know who's watching. We've learned that from Fellowship.
But Pippin likes shiny things.
Fucking Pippin. And so now the crew have to ride back to Rohan
And
to regroup.
they're having a little celebration.
Yeah. And it made me think of you, John, because they took the 5 minutes to honor the fallen. And when we talked about Star Wars, nobody honored all the people that died in the space battle.
Mm.
So that's just made me think of you. What'd you guys think of this bit?
It was nice. Because it was a moment of levity. So much of this movie is so down or intense or daunting, just so much that has to happen. And the weight of what is needed is resting so heavily on all of these shoulders of our characters. This is a rare moment.
Yeah. I like the bit where Gandalf and Aragorn are talking and no word of Frodo. They don't know what's going on.
But his heart tells him that he is alive.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We have a moment where Gollum has resurfaced and he is talking to Smeagol, and they are finalizing their plans on what they need to do.
Did you look for the eyes and how they narrow and get bigger every time they switch character?
No.
Okay.
I didn't either.
I just go by the voice. It's an easier indication for me. My favorite part of this whole bit is when they're talking about taking the hobbits up to Shelob and how Gollum says she only gets to eat nasty orcs, and Smeagol's like, and those don't taste very good now, do they, precious?
Yeah.
I fucking love that bit.
That I think, Professor, you were about to bring up one of the things that I really liked in this scene, which is when I think Samwise overhears him talking about murdering, and
You see him in the reflection?
and he comes up and he starts telling him, and he was sneaking around, and why is he always accusing me of sneaking?
And they have that whole dialogue, and you can start to see that Smeagol's going to turn Frodo against Sam. And we've all been on Sam's side from the beginning, right? We knew, this guy Smeagol couldn't really be trusted, but, he loves Master. And my favorite bit, or my favorite line that he says outside of they don't taste good, precious, is after that whole dialogue with him and Sam. And he goes, what were you doing anyway? And Gollum gets serious and looks at him and says, sneaking.
Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorites.
He wasn't fucking lying to him.
And
he's telling him the truth, right?
I also love that as, Frodo takes Gollum's hand and is leading him away. Gollum looks back and just gives that smile, that
Oh,
little smirk.
It's just a devilish little look that he gives to Sam.
Yep. And we as the audience are going, motherfucker. And then we cut to sleepy time at Rohan, and that fucking Pippin, man. He just cannot fucking help himself. Drives me nuts. It reminds me of you.
Well, he smokes the leaf a lot.
Yeah, well.
Too much.
But he's got to take another look at the Palantir, and Mary's like, dude, come on. What'd you think of Gandalf sleeping with his eyes open?
Creepy at first.
I would expect that of a wizard.
Me too, but yes, very creepy at first.
And I love how he swaps out the Palantir with a freaking water jug.
What did it remind you of?
Indiana Jones.
Thank you. Oh,
Swapping
for
out
fuck's
the
sakes.
sandbag.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. It turns out that Sauron is looking at Pippin, and Pippin's looking at Sauron, and he starts to go into convulsions and this, that, and the other. And Merry wakes everybody up, and then Aragorn gets up, grabs the Palantir, faints, and it starts to roll. And Gandalf throws a blanket over it. Day is saved, right?
Except that Sauron had gotten into Pippin's head and had this whole big conversation.
Yep. And Peregrine and Gandalf's tripping, right? He's like, what the fuck did you tell him?
But he also asks Pippin, what did you see?
Yeah. And this is where Pippin tells him that he saw the white tree of Gondor burning.
Yep.
So, and then we cut to like the hall or whatever, and it almost looks like Pippin's on trial. And, Gandalf says he's a fool, but he's an honest fool, and there was no lying in his eyes. He didn't tell Sauron about Frodo and the ring.
But even though he made a mistake here, he actually did a good thing because it told them what Sauron's next move was, which was attacking Gondor. And so they knew. That's why Gandalf took Pippin and said, we have to go to Gondor to warn them.
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
In the meantime, Theoden, he's reluctant to help.
I was thinking, you cheeky fucker. Gandalf says, Rohan's got to be ready. And Theoden's like, why? We just fucking whooped Saruman and Sauron's ass. Why should we help Gondor when they didn't help us?
Mm-hmm. Where was Gondor?
And I love the look of disgust and utter disappointment Aragorn is giving Theoden when he says, I'll go. Like,
he almost rolls his eyes.
Yeah, he's like, motherfucker, okay. And, but Gandalf has it all under control. He's like, no, I'll go.
Yeah, because Aragorn, he has to head to the river.
He's got to go a different route.
And this is apparently the first time that Merry and Pippin have been separated because Pippin's not taking it well.
Oh, so fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Probably the first time since ever that they're apart from each other.
As they're walking to the barn to get on the horses, Pippin's like, you're coming with me, right? And Merry's like, come on. And they get in there, and Pippin's tripping. He's like, what the fuck is going on, right?
Well,
I promise I won't look ever again.
Yeah, Merry lays into him.
Yeah.
And basically says, you're always fucking up.
Yeah. And this is a cute moment where Merry gives Pippin the last of the long bottom leaf because he knows his friend. You smoke too much, Pip. And away they go.
Well, I like how I think Pippin says, will I see you again? He's like, I don't know.
And he's getting all teared up. Merry is. Like, he's really legitimately scared as well. So, yeah.
We have a vision from Arwen, and she sees a possible future with Aragorn and potentially maybe even a son.
And so she stops her trip to the Undying Land and goes to confront Dad.
Yep.
These visions that she has all come true. They're all real visions. She does have that son with Aragorn, and she does go on to mourn him for hundreds of years after Aragorn dies.
All right. Well, there you go. And in the meantime, while she's talking to Dad, she tells Dad, go remake the fucking sword.
Yep.
Please. I mean, this is his destiny. You know who he is.
Yep.
And don't worry about me. I already made my choice. And he's like, well, every time the ring gets closer, you're going to get weaker.
Did you notice that? That was one of the things that Peter Jackson worked into the movie is when you look at the elves, they always kind of have a weird kind of glow aura about them.
Hers was fading.
Yeah. And she was actually getting pinker and pinker, like, fair skin.
Oh, I took it more as pale.
More pale. Well, she went from kind of being a pale elf to being more human looking.
Pasty. Maybe she was more pasty.
Yeah. And so you can see, and that's supposed to represent Sauron's effect on Middle Earth.
Yeah.
So Gandalf and Pippin, they arrive at Minas Tirith, and I love when they're going in to talk to Denethor.
He says, to give Denethor news about Boromir would probably be unwise. And in fact, don't say anything about Frodo and the Ring or Aragorn. You know what? Just keep your mouth shut. How about that? It's such a great bit.
It was awesome.
And what does Pippin do?
The first thing you kind of feel for him because Gandalf assumes that Denethor knows nothing. And when they get in there, Denethor's holding Boromir's horn and he's saying, I see much that you don't think I know more than you think I do.
Well, one of the things that you have to realize is that in the last movie, Faramir talked about that he knew the death of his brother, but he said this to Frodo and Sam. He has not talked to Gandalf or anybody else. So Gandalf doesn't know that Denethor knows.
It turns out Denethor does know. And he knows that that Gandalf's riding with Aragorn, and he thinks he is going to supplant him with this ranger from the north, and he will not fucking have it. And I like how Gandalf says, hey, bud, authority is not yours to deny the return of the king.
Yeah, basically, all a steward is someone who keeps the seat warm for the king.
Exactly. And then they're talking about Boromir's death, and Pippin, like a fucking toque, jumps in and says, he died defending me and my kin. And then I like how he says, I will be in your service or I'll give you a
I'll pledge
debt.
my service.
And Gandalf's look.
I love he rolls his eyes.
Yes, it was so great. And he's like, get up.
Yeah.
And then he slaps him with the staff.
He's like, God damn it, Pippin. I told you to shut the fuck up. And Gandalf's like, you got to light the beacons, dude. And Denethor's like, fuck off. I'm Stewart. Gondor is mine. And so Gandalf and Pippin leave. They cut to Gandalf and Pippin are talking. And they're looking out over and they can see Mount Doom. And then we cut to Sam, Gollum, and Frodo. They get to Minas Morgul and they're about to take the steps.
Mm-hmm.
I like this bit because this is where we get to see the Witch King.
Because this is where they really introduce the strongest of the Nazgul.
Yes.
I thought that this kingdom this green kingdom with all of the orcs coming out, it was a really cool looking scene.
Oh, it's fantastic.
When the beam goes up in the air, I've been trying to figure out what specifically that represented. I cannot find it. I just assume that's a show of power from the Witch King.
I just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Maybe it was all the air getting released because the Witch King comes up and he's on his fucking flying thingamadoodle
or something like that.
And
maybe it's to tell the other forces that are going to be fighting along with the orcs, the evil men. That's their signal. That's their cue. Time to mobilize.
Oh, maybe because the doors fucking open and the army comes out.
So cool to watch them come out.
And what I really enjoy about this bit, or what I really was impressed with, is no matter when we see Frodo, Sam, and Gollum climbing up the hill, there's always troops.
Yes.
Still marching.
Yes.
The higher they go, we pan down and we see the torches and still marching. And you can hear that slight boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
So good.
Would you have been able to do those stairs?
Oh, fuck, dude. I don't know.
I don't like heights, so I think the journey would have been over at that point.
Yeah. And then we cut back to Gandalf and Pippin, and they see the big green thing. And there's a moment of absolute just panic in Pippin's eyes. And Gandalf sees it, and he puts his arm around him, trying to console him. And they're talking about what to expect. Now that the green thing went off is like the calling card, if you will, for everybody to mobilize. And so now Gandalf has to take matters into his own fucking hands. Denethor's not going to like the fucking beacons, right? So let's have fucking Pippin do it.
When Pippin climbs up that thing, and I always, forget this part, he spills a little bit of the oil. And I always thought, did he spill the oil on him? And is he going to light up like a freaking beacon himself?
Oh, maybe. Maybe it might be a bit of foreshadowing for what he does later on, too. Mm-hmm. But I love that. They can climb a fucking mountain like nobody's business.
I was glad, though, finally see Pippin do something right. It seems like throughout this whole movie, he just fucks up left and right.
Well, yeah.
And this is kind of the change of his character.
Now we see orcs that are approaching by boat. And Faramir and his men, they are readying themselves to give them a nice little greeting.
Down in Osgiliath.
Yeah.
And then this is also where we get to meet the albino orc. He's like the leader of that army.
Golmoth or something like that, I think is his name.
I knew you would fucking know it. So,
Mhm.
What'd you think of this battle?
It was intense and it was great.
Yeah. But they're overrun, right? There's
Yep.
too many orcs, and Faramir, he's got to give up Osgiliath. And so they start to retreat.
And I don't remember if it's in the extended version or the regular version, but Denethor had said at one point, if we lose this town, which is our only access to the river, it's over.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, they have to take off.
Then Pippin gets the beacon lit, and then Gandalf sees it, and then he looks to the mountaintop, and he sees the second one go off. He's like, yes.
And then you get that sweeping score, and we're panning across different parts of Middle Earth with the beacons going off, until we get to Rohan, where Aragorn's just chilling, and he sees the beacon lit.
And he goes charging in.
The beacons are lit. Gondor calls for aid. And then we hold on to Theoden's face. And what was the last thing he just said about Gondor, right?
Fuck him.
Right. But no, fucking Theoden steps fucking up, right?
And Rohan will answer.
And then you get that score, cuts to Carl Urban, who's like, yep, let's fucking do it. Muster the Rohirrim. Here we go.
And the Rohirrim, that's a lot of fucking horses leaving.
It is. And he's telling Aramay, Carl Urban, go here and get these people. He's telling his other dude, go here, pick up these dudes, and we're going to meet at the camp before we ride for war. So
then it's back to the battle, and it is going poorly, and there is a retreat.
They got to get the fuck out. And as they're retreating, I had this thought. You know how unfair it is that Mordor had the flying creatures? Once they come in, that's so unfucking fair. They fucking kill everyone. That's fucked up.
I liked when they just scooped up the people and just tossed them.
I know.
And then Gandalf, he heads out to do a little bit of crowd control.
Which was a great scene. Sweeping shot. He takes his staff, he points the lights at him, and then the Nazgul have to fucking fly away. But yeah, right on. And as they're riding into Gondor, Faramir finds Gandalf and he says, we were overrun. Osgiliath is taken. We're fucked, right? And then he sees Pippin and he's...
Wait, you've seen a little one like this before.
Not 2 days ago. And the hope that is on Pippin's face. You've seen Frodo and Sam? Oh, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Until Faramir tells Gandalf how they were getting to Mordor. Because they know where they're going. And then, so from here, I believe we cut back to Sam and Frodo and Gollum. And Sam's trying not to fall asleep.
Because he's keeping an eye on Gollum.
This poor guy.
Smeagol, he's seriously tempted by the ring. And, Sam, he intervenes. But, when he cuts in, Smeagol, he plays all innocent. I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, because Frodo can't make it up the fucking hill, right? And Smeagol reaches for it. But,
So Sam leaves, and then Smeagol plants some seeds of doubt in Frodo's mind about how Sam is going to ask for that ring.
Just you watch. And then they're sleeping, and Sam's trying not to fall asleep. And we see that Gollum's asleep. We see that Frodo's asleep. And then Sam lets his guard down, and he falls asleep. And instantly, Gollum opens his eyes. So, he's up to no good. And
he sneaks around.
Yes. And he finds all the llama spread. And he's a smart motherfucker, right? Because he puts the crumbs on Sam.
That's pretty crafty.
This is another thing that I always wonder about is he puts the crumbs on and then he throws the rest over the side. And if you watch it fall, they spread out as they fall. They get farther and farther away. But then when Sam finds them, they're all back together again.
Yeah. And my question was, when he found them, why didn't he fucking eat them? But anyways, we moved too fast. And so this is where Sam and Gollum have their sneaking.
Well, they get into a little fight here.
Oh, that's right.
And Sam basically tries to kill Gollum because he's getting pissed off about trying to frame him. He's a liar. He lies.
Yeah, because Sam notices that all the bread's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And
Gollum claims it was the fat one that ate it.
And instantly, Frodo's like, Gollum couldn't have eaten it because he doesn't eat the shit.
And that's when Sam says to Frodo, it's the ring. It's so heavy on you. I could carry it for you.
Yeah.
And then the crumbs are spotted on his cloak. And then Frodo turns on him and pretty much says, you can't help me anymore. Go home.
That was like, for me, that was kicking a puppy. The way that Sam looked back at him. Just crushed.
Fucking breaking. Absolutely heartbreaking.
In the meantime, back in Gondor, we have Pippin giving his pledge of allegiance, if you will, to him. And then Faramir comes in and Denethor sends his son back out. Come on, we need to retake the city.
This was another crushing scene wherein Faramir basically knows, Dad, you're sending me to my death. And he goes, well, I just hope that, if I can return, you can at least look at me like you would look at Boromir. And he's like, that depends on how you return.
Oh, yeah. He fucking kicks Faramir in the balls left and right here.
And he even says right before that, you wish it was me that died, not Boromir. And he's like, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Fucker.
So now get out there and take back Osgiliath because your brother fought so hard to defend it and you're just pissing all over his grave.
Mm-hmm.
So Faramir, he's leading the troops back out.
And I did read one time the daisies that they are handed is sort of a tradition that you do that to soldiers that are not coming back. So when they're being handed these flowers, it's basically the people saying, we know you're marching to your death.
And as they are marching to their death, Gandalf comes out and he tells Faramir, your father loves you and he will remember it before the end. And off they go.
Mm-hmm. And then you get Pippin back upstairs singing his little song. And then we watch Denethor
devour.
Close up, it's almost like it's not a parable, but it's almost like symbolism of what's about ready to happen to the soldiers.
Oh yeah, and mixed with Pippin's song, cut in with the attack and Denethor eating, it just works.
Well, right as I think Faramir's troops either hit those arrows or they go right into the battle is when Denethor bites into that grape and like the blood-looking juices comes out of his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like how the scene ends with Gandalf just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And the music's coming down,
Mm-hmm.
Gollum leads Frodo to Shelob's lair, where he's ambushed by the giant spider. Frodo was paralyzed, and Gollum seemingly falls to his death. Sam returns just in time to drive Shelob away, rescues Frodo from the orcs, and the two press on through Mordor. At Rohan's camp, Elrond tells Aragorn that Arwen is dying after choosing mortality. He gives Aragorn the reforged sword Andúril, who urges him to claim his rightful throne. Aragorn ventures into the paths of the dead, where he earns the allegiance of a cursed ghost army by vowing to release them if they aid Gondor. Back in Gondor, Denethor loses his mind and sends Faramir on a suicidal charge. Faramir is badly wounded. Denethor attempts to burn himself and his son, but Gandalf and Pippin save Faramir. Denethor perishes in flames. Theoden's forces arrive and clash with Sauron's army. Though they fight valiantly, they suffer heavy losses until Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and the Ghost Army turn the tide. Theoden is killed by the Witch King, but Eowyn and Merry destroy the Nazgul Lord. Aragorn releases the Ghost Army from their oath.
Regarding Shelob, the big spider, did you read on the how that spider was designed?
No.
Peter Jackson is apparently scared of spiders. He does not like spiders at all. So he said when he was designing it, he tried to make it as scary as possible for himself.
Yeah. I mean, just the sheer size of Shelob is scary.
Yeah. So Theoden's armies, they rendezvous at their gathering point, and then that's where we have Elrond show up, and he talks to Aragorn, and he puts into Aragorn's mind the possibility of finding reinforcements from a most unlikely source.
Yeah. Take the path to the Dimholt Road and get the allegiance of the army of the dead.
Yeah, and he's like, I can't do that. He goes, you can with this.
And the moment he shows the sword, so good.
We have one brief little moment where Eowyn, she is more or less rebuffed permanently by Aragorn.
Yeah, don't you know?
You're in love with a shadow.
It is but a shadow and a thought that you love. I cannot give you what you seek. And Aragorn's made up his mind. He's going to go through the Dimholt Road, and he sees Gimli.
I love this moment.
Not this time, Gimli. And then Legolas walks up. Have you learned nothing of the stubbornness of dwarves? And Gimli's like, face it, dude, we're coming with you. And Aragorn looks relieved. He didn't want to put it on him. He wasn't going to ask him to go. But, I mean, that's fellowship.
So the next thing we have Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli going to the Men of the Mountain.
I do not fear death. And he walks in. Legolas walks in. And Gimli's all chicken. Who would have ever seen the day where a dwarf would be afraid to go underground, but an elf wouldn't?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
I love that moment.
I'd never hear the end of it. And he runs in.
In the meantime, Theoden, they pull out, heading off to Gondor.
And to war. I like this because Merry had got suited up, got a sword. He wants to fight. And
Theoden sees him.
And he's like, no, dude, no, absolutely fucking not. And takes off. And, Mary's kind of dejected and he's fucking sad. And then this rider comes up and lifts him up and puts him on the horse. And it's fucking Arwen. I thought that was brilliant. She said, you can ride with me. And fuck yeah.
In the book, apparently, we don't know that is Eowyn. We just think it's just some guy who is riding that direction. It's not revealed until the fight with the Witch Queen that it is Eowyn. But Peter Jackson said it would just been too obvious in the movie. You couldn't hide that in the movie.
So Aragorn, he is there he's there inside the mountain, and the King of the Dead shows up.
And I gotta say, and this is nothing against the movie because they're taking it from the source material, but hey, Tolkien, an army of the dead, little convenient.
Also, how do they kill? Because, we watched an arrow go right through them, right?
Right.
So how did they kill?
I figured it's a little bit like Vision in the MCU. They can either be solid when they want or transparent when other times.
I'll buy that because the king and Aragorn clink swords and then Aragorn puts the sword to his throat. And so he's like, fight for us and I will hold your oaths fulfilled.
We see the orcs showing up on the battlefield and they are setting up all of their troops, their catapults.
This is where they release the prisoners.
Yes.
Let's ease their suffering.
You can smell their fear.
Yeah.
Let's ease it.
Yeah. The orcs are getting ready to take Gondor.
What do you think of the heads flying in and landing on the soldiers?
I thought that was fucked up.
It's totally fucked up. And then we see
funny, but fucked up.
Faramir shows up being drugged by his horse. And we are told that he is alive and he is taken up to Denethor.
Well, first, what Denethor says that
Theoden has betrayed us.
And that he's lost both of his sons. His line has ended.
Flee for your lives.
And then he looks over and sees all the orcs out there. And I love how Gandalf reacts to it.
I do too. And I love that shot. That when Denethor notices the armies, we as the audience notice the army. And we thought Helm's Deep was bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're right. He's like, flee, run for your lives. And he turns and then Gandalf just knocks the shit out of him.
He does what everybody in the audience wants to do.
Yeah. But Gandalf's like, no, get back to your post, stand and fight. Here we go.
And so we have a little bit of back and forth with catapults. That was really fucking cool to watch, the catapults on both sides.
I thought it was brilliant that when Gondor decides to answer with their own catapults, they use the rubble of the buildings that just collapsed.
Yeah.
So
I like how that one guy, I think his name is Golmoth or something like that, that you see the big piece of rubble coming at him and he just takes a step to the side.
And then he spits on it. Yeah, that was good.
I got to say that, this is where the battle scenes, it really starts to take off, and it's really impressive to watch. This is done so majestically.
It is, and Peter Jackson gives us just enough before he cuts to another segment. And then, just enough of that, and then we cut to another segment. For as long as this movie is, I think that this movie is absolutely brilliantly paced till the last half hour.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
we'll get there.
Yeah.
Are we back at the cave yet?
Yep.
So we got Frodo going through it, and I liked how first he's following Gollum, and he loses Gollum, and then Gollum starts narrating that basically you're fucked.
He starts toying with him.
Yeah.
We cut back to Sam, and Sam, he takes a tumble down the stairs, and this is where he lands, and on the ledge right beside him is the land of spread. And then with that, he's like, you motherfucker. And so he heads back up. And so now we, the audience, is like, yes, Sam is going to come and save the day.
Sam's coming to rescue. And I'm still thinking, why didn't you eat that fucking bread, dude?
Well, I
Maybe
think
he
he just put it in his pack for later.
Well, no, but he needs the energy to get back up and whoop Gollum's ass.
Oh, he's got the fuel of being pissed off.
Fair enough. And so, we cut back to Frodo, and he's tripping, but he remembers he's got the light of Elendil. And so Frodo whips it out.
And we have the reveal of Shelob.
And fucking gross.
Fucking A, man.
Designed to look like a funnel spider.
Yeah, don't know what that is. Fucking terrifying. And so
I gotta say, watching it in the theater and it was coming the next time around, you still wince when you're looking. Ugh.
Yeah. And the bit where she fucking dabs him, still to this day. Yeah.
Well, the crazy thing, and I was noticing a lot this time too, is as he's trying to get away from it, and as he's going through each of the things, he eventually gets strung up where he's all caught up in the webs and everything, and you're thinking, okay, now he's fucked.
Yeah, but he does have Sting with him.
I like how Gollum that is teasing him. Well, he starts cutting his way out with Sting. And Gollum's like, oh, shit.
And then he takes off. But do you notice he leaves Sting? He can't get it, so it's left there
He loses
wiggling.
the bottle and he loses Sting because they get stuck on different things.
Yeah.
But he does make it outside, and man, he goes after Smeagol.
Woo! Yeah. And Smeagol goes after him. And after Frodo kind of subdues him a little bit, he's like, look, dude, I got to destroy this fucking thing for both of our sakes. Because Frodo still believes in Smeagol, I guess? I don't know. But Smeagol turns on him. They get into a scuffle, and we think that
this is the end of Gollum,
because he gets thrown off the fucking side of the building.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I like after this is all said and done, Frodo realizes he's alone, and the first thing he says is, Sam.
And then Galadriel appears.
And she gives that speech.
Little pep talk.
Yeah. If you don't find a way to do it, no one will. And I like how she lifts him up, and then he gets up, and then we cut to him walking in that tunnel thing. And we see the overhead of Shelob coming up over his head. And we, the audience, are the camera, and we spin around, and he's looking left, he's looking right, and then we cut back, and then Shelob's stinger comes down.
Man, that is just a beautiful, beautiful camera shot, when we see her up above and the camera pivots and we get that skewed angle.
Yeah.
And she's coming down closer. It's like, mother.
And that that dripping stinger thing.
Yep. And she gets him.
Now, where do you think she stuck him?
Right in the chest.
I thought it always thought that she stuck him in the stomach or something. It looked like it hit him in the stomach. But when he is upstairs and he's got his shirt off and everything, on one side of him, you could see where he was stabbed with the Morgul blade or whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
On the other side, you can see a circle wound. And I'm thinking, did he just get stabbed in the shoulder? I think that might have been where he got stabbed. But either way, Elijah put an Alka-Seltzer under his tongue to cause that foaming effect. And one of the things that Peter Jackson loved about Elijah was that he had this ability just to stare off into space and just keep his eyes completely motionless. And so that's what he got to do in this scene.
Yeah. And I always kind of chalk it up to Elijah taking a shit. Because it looks like he's taking a shit.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. I want to talk a little bit about Shelob. I think that this spider has got to be a couple of 100 pounds at least. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, at least.
Why is she so fucking silent when she walks?
because she walks on her tippy claws.
But come on, man. That should be making noise walking across those rocks.
Hey, man, I don't know what to tell you. She fucking snuck up on him.
Yeah, whatever. We cut back to the battle, and then this is where we get that big, huge battering ram showing up at the gate. And during this time, we have Denethor. He is all set to burn his son alive.
Because he thinks he's failed, and his line is broken, and he's going fucking cuckoo. And Pippin's like, what the fuck, right?
And the gate is breached, and boy, the savagery really takes off now. This is some intense fighting.
I like how Pippin tries to stop Denethor, and Denethor just throws him out and says, you know what? You're done with my service. I let you go.
I like what he says to him. Go and die however you see fit. And so Pippin has to go find Gandalf because, well, again, Denethor has gone cuckoo.
So when Frodo is taken down, it is so triumphant. Here comes Sam. So he has the Light of Arendelle and he has Sting. And boy, oh boy, what kind of balls does this guy have facing that big, huge spider like that?
Well, your best friend's sitting there and you're trying to protect him and save him. And, you fight the fucking spider and it works because Shelob retreats and
Sam's trying to wake Frodo up.
And Sam thinks he's dead. And then
the Sting glows blue.
Yeah. If matters couldn't get any worse.
No shit.
Sting is glowing blue. So orcs are around. And then we cut to, Peter Jackson does a really good job with this transition because the timing of it. Sam's tripping and the camera moves and then we see the orcs coming down.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut to Samwise hiding and we find out that Frodo's not dead. He's just paralyzed because the spider likes to stick you, bleed you, and have her fun with you.
Yeah, eat you while you're alive.
Which is fucking terrifying. So, yeah. And then, Sam's like, oh, Samwise, you fool. Why didn't you check? Right. So.
Back to the battle. Gandalf says, it's time to retreat to the second level. Pippin, he runs down and he tells Gandalf that he's going to burn him alive.
And so Gandalf runs upstairs and they stop Denethor from burning Faramir alive. And Denethor sees Faramir's eyes open and he's like, oh shit, he's really fucking alive. But it's too late. I'm already on fire. And
this is where Gandalf's little prophecy comes true because he sees Faramir and he goes, my son. And he realizes he loves his son, but he's also fucking on fire.
And so what does he do? He runs and jumps off the fucking cliff.
Up to the point where he jumps, that was not CGI. That was actually a stuntman on fire.
Huh? I like how when he jumps, you can slowly see the fire go out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
it was satisfying.
Yeah.
I just like how Gandalf says, and there passes Denethor, son of whatever.
Right. And then the orcs break through. They go up to the second level, and Pippin and Gandalf are talking about death. And then we hear the horn.
Mm-hmm.
Here comes fucking Theoden. I like this bit. I like how they just fucking... Theoden knows that they're overmatched. They're outnumbered, but he's going to show up anyway.
And he fucking rides right into it.
And he fucking takes them on. They're doing pretty well, too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Until the fucking cheaters again with their fucking flying dragons.
And the elephants.
Well, here's the thing with the elephants, right?
Elephants.
Either or. Both of them. If I'm Theoden, these elephants can't turn, or it takes them 2 weeks to turn. Why are you riding right at them? Why don't you
flank them
and come from the sides and then come right up the butt?
All I kept thinking is when I saw that one elephant rider with the horn, I kept thinking, did they just leave like where are the Shankara stones? And is that Molaram on top
of that? Yeah. Yeah. Very similar. And, what the fuck are you going to do? So now they have to fight these big olifants and more Nazgul flying through the air.
Well, right before that is, again, one of my favorite scenes, which is when the Rohan riders come in and they're charging. I loved how they kept switching back and forth from the riders to the orcs, and the writers are just looking serious as they're writing in, and the orcs are starting going, oh shit, they're not going to stop. They're going to keep coming. We're fucked.
No matter how many of the Rohan get killed by the arrows, they are a non-stop fucking force.
Yeah, and you can just see the panic all of a sudden in the orcs' eyes.
Yeah, the tide is turning.
Even that Golmoth guy is like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then Theoden, he goes down.
Which I knew was coming. I didn't want it to come. I liked Theoden. I liked his character. I liked the king. And I was bummed that he died. But this is such a movie moment and it's just one of those moments in this movie where you go, fuck yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I like how the Witch King tells his Nazgul thingamadoodle, feast on his flesh, right? And how bad is Arwen, whatever the fuck her name is.
Eowyn.
How she gets the two swords and rides in between the Oliphants and fucking Empire Strikes Back some.
Yeah.
It's so good, right? And so she jumps in front of the Nazgul thing and says, if you touch him, I'll fucking kill you. And
She takes the thing's head off.
she takes the fucking thing's head off. She's such a badass.
Yes.
In 2 swipes. I like how she takes a chunk out the first time.
Oh, so good.
And then I love how it just kept flopping around.
Yeah. And so the Witch King gets up and she's like, all right, fucker, let's fight. And that big mace that the Witch King has, that was pretty intense.
Yeah, about the size of a small Volkswagen.
Yeah, something like that. And they fight and he swings the thing, knocks her down, and he's gonna...
He busted her arm right then and there when it hit that shield.
Oh, absolutely. And so he picks her up by the throat and he's like, you fucking idiot, no man can kill me. Now go ahead and die. But who comes to the rescue?
Mary.
With a fucking dagger to the shin. I do not doubt his heart, only the reach of his arm. And the Witch King drops her, and this is such a perfect line. It's such a perfect moment, right? She rips off her helmet, and she says, I am no man. And she sticks the fucker in the face.
And then he implodes.
So good.
So just because she's a woman, she is able to kill him. If it was a man, then the sword to the face would not have killed him.
As I understand it, yes. And this is a heartbreaking scene, although a noble scene, if you will.
I love how Theoden delivers it.
Yeah. I mean, he knows he's done for. But he starts with, coming around after being knocked out, and he looks at her and he says, I know your face, which is a callback to Two Towers. And she's devastated, and he's like, look, you got to let me go. I already named you king, so you do what you got to do.
I also like how he kind of reveals a little peek inside his head where he says, I go to my forefathers without shame, which means he felt some shame for what had happened earlier on, probably while he was possessed or whatever, and some of the other things he had done. He admits, I don't know if it's in the extended version or this version, he admits that it was Aragorn that won the war at Helm's Deep. It wasn't him. And so he felt some shame over that too.
Yeah, he tells her that early on when they're celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Theoden who led the people to victory.
Yeah, that's right.
You get a wonderful little moment right after this that kind of sort of brings the mood up a little bit. You have Legolas and Gimli with their count.
And the pirate ships show up. And the orcs are like, you fucking dickheads, you're late.
I love plenty for both of us.
And Aragorn jumps over the fucking side. We get the tune. Gimli and Legolas join him.
Yep.
And then the army of the dead come rushing in.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, Peter Jackson hated this scene. He did not want to do the ghost, but you're absolutely right. He had to keep faithful to the book.
Right. No, I don't blame Peter Jackson. I blame Tolkien. It's such a easy way to write this victory for the heroes.
Mm-hmm.
But when was the book written? 1920 something?
Oh yeah.
All right, whatever.
So watching those ghosts go sweeping up Gondor, and it looks like that they're killing anything and everything. I wonder if any innocents end up dying because they're moving pretty fast.
Yeah, but they are honed in on the orcs and the goblins. So
True.
We hope that none of the Gondorians were harmed. But yeah, and there's such an attention to detail because you watch it go all the way up the White City. And I mean, he did his due diligence, Peter Jackson, as far as showing what needs to be shown.
As the ghosts are first coming in, we get a scene with Legolas going up that elephant, the elephant.
Uh-huh.
to me, that's one of the most badass scenes.
Yeah,
Just
it's
him climbing up the arrows in the leg.
Yeah.
And I even commented while I was watching it, fucking badass.
And then the way he slides down the tusk
Uh-huh.
afterwards.
And then he gives a little neck nod like, huh, easy. And Gimli, fucking on point,
that
on
counts
cue.
as one.
Yeah, totally. And it is the extended edition where they do the final numbers and the axe in his spinal cord. That wasn't in the theatrical. So I think we talked about that in Fellowship. But anyways, the day is won and fucking man won.
King of the Dead shows up, talks to Aragorn,
Gimli.
wants to settle up.
Yeah, Gimli's like, let's hang on for a second, bud.
These guys are pretty handy in a fight.
Yeah, totally. And I kept thinking to myself, yeah, now go to Mordor and fuck these guys up. But Aragorn is a true man of his word. He releases them. And I like how he says, go be at peace. And they take off. And then he gives Gandalf a look like, well, maybe you were right. I embraced it. I got the sword. I went the way. And here we are.
And then we have a tender little moment where Pippin finds Merry on the battlefield.
Are you going to leave me again? No, Merry. I'm going to take care of you. To give Frodo and Sam a chance to destroy the ring, Aragorn leads an assault on the Black Gate of Mordor. Inside Mount Doom, Frodo succumbs to the ring and claims it. Gollum, having survived, bites off Frodo's finger to reclaim it. In a final struggle, Gollum falls into the lava with the ring destroying it, and with it, Sauron. Mordor collapses and Frodo and Sam are rescued by the Eagles. The Fellowship reunites in Minas Tirith. Aragorn is crowned king and weds Arwen. The hobbits return to the Shire, where Sam marries Rosie Cotton. Years later, a still wounded Frodo chooses to leave Middle-earth for the Undying Lands with Gandalf, Bilbo, and the elves. He passes the Red Book to Sam, who returns home to raise his family with Rosie, bringing the story to a heartfelt close. Roll credits.
There's a great shot as we come back to Frodo. We're zooming in on that high tower with a light in it, and we zoom in through that window right to Frodo. It was a really cool shot.
And he's starting to wake up, and we see that the orcs and goblins or whoever kidnapped him are going through his shit. And one of them starts saying, I want the silver shirt. And the other one says, no, everything goes to the gray eye. And Frodo's like, oh, fuck, I don't have the fucking ring. Where's the fucking ring? They have the fucking ring, right? And luckily for Frodo and Sam and all of the good guys, the orcs decide to start a war amongst themselves.
Yeah, they pretty much off almost all of them.
Right. I mean, they made it really easy for Sam to get up there. But hey, I went with it. I enjoyed it. I like the bit when Sam's coming up the stairs and using the shadow.
Yeah.
To try to make himself bigger than he is.
And I love the four of them are backing up when they see the shadow.
And then once they see Sam, they're like, oh, fuck this. I'm going to come. We're going to go after him. And Sam dispatches them in such a delightful way. That's for Frodo. That's for the Shire. And this is for my old gaffer. It's so good. And then
we get up top, and that orc sees that Frodo is awake. And then as he closes in, all of a sudden, bam, the blue blade comes through his chest.
Not if I gut you first. And Frodo is just beyond the moon, right? Oh, Sam, I'm so sorry, but thank fucking God you're here.
And he's like, it's over, Sam. We lost. They got the ring.
Begging your pardon, sir, but it's not. And I knew Sam took the ring. I don't know why. I just knew it, but...
Well, initially he thought Frodo was dead.
Exactly. And so his logic is perfectly sound and justified, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And, Frodo wanting to protect Sam is like, here, give me the fucking ring right now, because it takes but a second for it to turn on you, and Frodo knows firsthand.
And we do see Sam hesitate for just a moment.
But eventually.
According to the lore and according to Tolkien, the reason why the ring doesn't affect Frodo as much as it affects other people is because Frodo doesn't want to use the ring. He doesn't want to have anything to do with the ring. He doesn't want the ring. Everybody else wants something from the ring. Even maybe Sam at this point must realize there's something about this ring, and so that's why it's already affecting him.
Oh, sure.
So that's why they said Frodo was the perfect one to carry it, because he doesn't want to carry it. He doesn't want to be around the ring.
Sure. I buy that for sure. But I do like how Sam says, we can't have you going through Mordor or nothing but your skin. And so they take some fucking costumes or disguises and they are able to leave.
Right. And so we see them walking in their orc armor, and then they crest the top of a hill, and they see all of those soldiers.
10,000 orcs stand between Frodo and the mountain.
Holy fuck. And then you see the Eye of Sauron looking around. It's like, motherfuck.
Totally. And then we cut back to Gondor, and they're having a powwow.
And Gandalf, he thinks he sent Frodo to his death.
Yeah. He's like, I fucked up. I can't believe I did this, and that's fucked up. But
Aragorn, he needs time.
he has a plan. He knows. He says, he said, yeah, there's 10,000 orcs standing between Frodo and Mount Doom, but if we ride out there, Sauron has no choice but to look at us, right? Let's distract him and cause a diversion.
Yeah, and I love the line right afterwards. Well, keep him blind to all that moves. And then we get Gimli right afterwards. Certainty of death, small chance of survival.
What are we waiting for? Cut to Aragorn on the horse, wearing his kingly outfit, riding toward Mount Doom. I like this bit because they all show up and Aragorn's like, let the Lord of the Black Lands come out and be judged. And then when the doors open, they just see how fucked they really are. Because when Mordor unleashes, they surround them. I mean, it's a no-win situation.
In the meantime, we see Frodo and Sam, and they're out of water, and now they are feeling, yes, they do have a break, but they think that they're not going to make it back. Sam says it for the first time. I don't think we're making it back home.
Right. And because when Sauron shifts his eyes and they see all the orcs leave, Sam actually says, well, finally a fucking bit of luck. But then they're out of water.
And the eye almost spots Frodo. Frodo, he's rummy on his feet. And Sam yells at him, get down. And then he just flops over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Almost sees him.
Until Aragorn shows up. So from here, the men from the west are surrounded. Aragorn gives his speech, and the bit where we get a shot of Aragorn and we're kind of pushing in on him and you hear Sauron talking to him, and then he walks up and then he turns around and looks at Gandalf and all the others and he's welling up.
But he's got a smile on his face and he says, for Frodo.
He charges.
Right. And then who's right after?
The fucking hobbits.
Yes.
That's so good.
I love how the hobbits are running, but then when all the horses and the men start going,
yeah, they're
they
faster,
just fall
dude.
way back.
Yeah. But the point is, the hobbits were right fucking there, and I fucking dug that. I noticed that the first time I ever watched this movie.
Yeah. And it's got to be certain death for them because they got to be outnumbered 10-1.
And yeah.
But off they go.
I like the line where Gimli says, I never thought I'd die side by side with fighting with an elf.
And then he comes back with, what about side by side with a friend?
I could do that.
So good.
Yeah, so good. And so, another battle.
Frodo and Sam, they are just about done.
They are fucking trying to make it up this fucking hill, and it's just going on and on and on. And this bit gets me every fucking time.
When Sam starts talking about the Shire.
You remember the Shire, Mr. Frodo? You remember food and salt and this, that, and the other? And Frodo's like, no, dude, I can't remember a fucking thing because this ring fucking sucks. And as he's telling Sam that he can't remember any of this, Sam's face is breaking all of our hearts because his heart's breaking at the same time. Mm-hmm. And then there's just something in him. And he says, well, you know what? Let's just be fucking done with it. I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. Tears every fucking time.
Yep.
Finally, Mr. Frodo, there's a doorway. But guess who's back?
Back again.
That little motherfucker. Gollum's back. Tell a friend. And so they have a little fight.
One of the things I thought was interesting is notice like every time it seems like Gollum gets in a fight, he fucking bites. And I thought, well, maybe that's because of his fucking teeth. He even bit Deagle in the beginning. He's always been a biter.
Yeah, and I've noticed that he bit Sam a couple of times throughout this whole trilogy.
Yeah.
How come there's no wounds on Sam?
I don't
You would
know.
think if you get bit in the neck like Gollum is doing, you should be bleeding out.
Especially the way you see him bite into those fish. and everything.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Sharp ass teeth.
Yeah.
And as we're going back and forth between the battle and Frodo and Sam, the music is just continuing to build and build. It just this epic music, just swelling and swelling.
This music is so on point with this movie. It intertwines with it so perfectly. And it brings the level up that much more.
Yes, it just makes it that much more, the intensity, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. It's like, how much more?
Yeah. And so we think that Gollum gets knocked out. Sam finally got the upper hand. He sees Frodo running off into the Mount Doom. He follows him, and then we see Frodo standing at the edge holding the ring.
Just be done with it. Throw it in.
And right here, they are both sides right here at death's door.
Yes, and fucking Frodo gives in. Frodo loses. He was going to keep that fucking ring
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
until he puts it on. And Gollum's not having it, so he knocks out Sam, which I like. And then he watches Frodo's feet go back and forth. And I kept thinking to myself, so Frodo goes through all of this shit just to give in at the very end, and then he can't even fucking escape. He's walking in circles on that little path. Anyways,
Gollum jumps on top.
figures out,
He likes it on top.
yes, he does. He rides him hard, and he fucking is a biter, like we were just talking about,
Again. And
right?
You were right, because like he bites Sam how many times and doesn't seem to draw blood or anything.
Right.
But he bites off his freaking finger.
And I like after he does it and just the sheer pain Frodo's going through. But he has Frodo's finger. He takes the ring off, and if you notice, he just throws the finger. I think he throws it over the
Did you
fucking
ever watch
side.
the animated versions that came out in like the 70s or
Oh,
whatever?
yeah.
I loved how they had a song that came out like after this. It was all about Frodo and the 5 fingers or the 4 fingers.
9.
9 fingers?
Yeah.
Okay, Frodo and the 9 fingers.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
I remember that song. It kept popping in my head every time during this scene.
Yeah.
And, you know, I also wanted to comment that moment, right when he has the ring and he's about ready to drop it in, we're looking up, right? And just the intensity of the fire from down below, you know, I just felt like that, you know, in a way, this is like a PG-13 version of cinematic porn. It is so beautifully shot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this whole sequence is fantastic because we're also cutting back to the battle, and it looks like, oh, fuck, here come the Nazgul, and they're
Right.
fucking cheaters.
And they are super outnumbered now.
Well, that big ass orc thing or whatever it is that steps onto Aragorn as well.
Yeah, but the flying creatures, we're thinking, oh, fuck, but the eagles show up. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, where the fuck have you been, Switzerland? But that's neither here nor there. So we cut back to inside the doohickey,
Gollum's having a joygasm.
and he's fucking loving it. He's got his precious back, and Frodo's like, nope, not having it. I need that fucking ring back. And so they get into a little skirmish, and they do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then they fall over. And I love how we fall with Gollum.
Yes.
And he's holding the ring like, yay. And then he hits the fucking lava, and he looks surprised, like, uh-oh. And we see the ring, it like forms on this crust or something, and it kind of just, you know, keeps floating down. And the camera looks over because Sam's rushing over there, and we see Frodo hanging there. And Sam has so many fucking great lines in the last 30 minutes of this movie, last hour and a half of this movie.
Don't you let go.
Don't you let go. So good. And so Gollum falls in the lava. The ring gets destroyed. Sam and Frodo were hurrying to get out.
They can now run. They got a little bit of energy back.
Well, their fucking feet are on fire, probably.
Well, that and the ring is no longer torture for Frodo.
Right. And we see the others as this is going on, and they're fucking stoked, right?
Well,
he fucking did it.
When that tower comes down and the eye goes out, they're all cheering and laughing, and Is it Pippin that's yelling Frodo?
Yeah.
Or Merry or one of them?
Yeah. And then the fucking volcano erupts and it kind of jolts everybody. And now
'Cause
they're
they-
like,
They know that's where Frodo is.
yeah. And they're like, oh shit. Right. Pippin's bawling. They don't know if Frodo's going to be alive. And then we cut back to the mountain and Frodo and Sam jump and barely make it onto this fucking rock. And I love how Elijah Wood plays this. He kind of looks around and he says, it's over. It's gone, because he could physically feel it. And like you said, the torture was over. And now they're just going to have to wait to die.
Yeah. They basically, at this point, believe they're going to die.
Yeah.
And they start talking about the Shire again.
Rosie Cotton and her pigtails.
I would have married her.
It would have been her.
But here come the Eagles. And Gandalf.
Because, convenient timing.
Well, the Eagles like to show up
Thank-
so they can be praised at the end.
Thanks,
for winning the
Tolkien.
day.
Thanks, Tolkien.
They do that throughout the series.
Yeah, whatever. And then Frodo wakes up. He's at Rivendell. No, they're in Gondor. Frodo wakes up. They're at Gondor. And he sees Gandalf for the first time. And this is the first time he's seen him since he saw him fall in Fellowship.
It took me a few times to realize that. That's why when you first wake up after going through all this and to have a guy sitting in front of you who you thought was dead, I would immediately think, okay, I'm fucking dead.
Maybe.
I must be in heaven seeing him because isn't he fucking dead?
Maybe. And then Merry and Pippin show up.
Rude prank.
And then Gimli, Legolas, and Aragorn. And throughout this whole bit, Sam kind of peeks his head in, and him and Frodo kind of give each other that, look.
And I think for me, I always thought that look that Frodo gives Sam is, don't fucking tell him I failed. Don't tell him I gave in at the end. Let's get our story straight.
Yeah, no, I didn't think about that. Because, you're right. They all think that Frodo destroyed the ring.
Yeah. They don't know that he decided to put the ring on and leave.
Yeah, I never put that together. That's interesting that you say that.
In the books, they talk about that's one of the things that plagued Frodo afterwards is that he felt like a failure.
Yeah, well, I'm never going to read the book, so it doesn't fucking matter. And this begins our 6-hour ending. Drove me fucking nuts.
Yeah, you're lucky there was only, 3 endings? Because in the book, there's 6 endings.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo. Cinematically, I don't think the movie could have ended how the book ends, but that's just me.
Well, I certainly remember several times in the theater thinking, oh, thank God, the movie's over with. What? Oh, my God, another ending. Well, I really got to go now. Okay, so this is the end of the movie. Okay, now I really got to pee.
Apparently,
Damn it! Another ending. I got to go pee so bad.
Yeah.
that Tolkien had a big thing that he felt the need to tell you what happened to each of the characters in the end and how their lives progressed and ended. That's why we got all of these endings.
And so we are at Gondor, and now we are crowning Aragorn king.
Yep.
And I love this bit. I've been waiting for this bit for 3 movies. And, he gets crowned. He sings his elvish song. He walks down. We see Carl Urban's character. We see Faramir is alive and with Arwen.
Yeah,
Arwen.
Eowyn. One of the things that they cut out was
They get together at the healing of the
big,
tent. Right?
yeah, big romance between them.
And he sees Legolas, and Legolas kind of gives him a sly eye, and he gets to see Arwen for the first time. And I like how, what's his name? Elrod's like, go to him. And she walks up to him, and she kind of looks down and kind of looks sad, but he lifts her head up, and the first thing that he can think of to do is to kiss her.
I kept thinking the way that he is putting his mouth on her, her dad's right behind her.
Yeah, well, you're the fucking king, so you can do whatever the fuck you want. And so, they're happy, and they're walking through the crowd, and this moment is probably one of my favorite moments in the entire trilogy.
I would agree.
Me too.
The hobbits are standing there, and Aragorn, and they bow their head and, start to kneel or whatever. And Aragorn's like, hold on, guys. You guys bow to no one. And then he bows to them, kneels to them, and the entire kingdom does to them. And I love Sam's expression. He has no idea what's going on. He can't comprehend what's happening.
Well, it's the first time they are taller than everyone else.
Well, yeah,
They are
everyone
above
else on their
everyone
knees.
else, yeah.
And then
Brings tears to my eyes right now.
it is so good.
Well, I also
Because you
felt,
get that score and just the whole bit.
I also felt like Frodo, the way that Frodo's looking at them, again, in Frodo's heart, he's feeling like a little bit of failure, and he's probably thinking, if only they knew I gave in at the end. So he looks like kind of like he's a little apprehensive about them bowing to him.
Well, I guess. I don't know. I never took it that way. So, and then, you get Frodo's narration, and he says, 13 months to the day, we've found ourselves in a familiar spot.
Back in the Shire.
We were home. We cut to them at the bar. It shows Sam going to talk to Rosie.
Next thing you know,
They're married. And then we cut to
back at the Baggins place.
4 years later, and Frodo is just finishing up Lord of the Rings. Sam comes in, and they're getting ready to go because Bilbo has been awarded a special treat. He gets to go with the elves to the Undying Land. And so they're taking him in horse carriage. And
did you notice how he's aged a lot faster now that he doesn't have the ring?
Oh, yeah. Very noticeable. But he does ask. He says, hey, Frodo, do you still have that ring? I sure would have liked to seen that one last time.
I lost it.
Yeah.
The look of disappointment on his face.
It's so disappointed. And then we get the Undying Land bit and the long, torturous goodbyes that fucking make you cry, because when they cry on screen, you cry for real. And it turns out that Frodo's going with them.
Yeah. And the first time I saw it, I wasn't expecting that, but I appreciate it because, Frodo, he is suffering inside still.
Yeah, and the Valinor, the Undying Lands where he's going to, they are able to heal him. There's no evil whatsoever in this land. It's a place of beauty and peace, and so he is able to find peace in this land when he goes off.
That's what I kind of figured too.
So time for hugs. They hug each other. And, when we get to Sam and then Frodo kisses his head and then they back up for just a moment, didn't it look like, are they going to kiss?
Yeah, totally. They totally like they were going to go in full-fledged lips and all.
I don't think they did on that journey. It gets lonely on a long journey.
Well, maybe. I don't know. They also had Gollum.
A little
those
tug,
long fingers.
a little tug, a little snug.
But,
I wouldn't use Gollum's mouth, though.
And that was Return of the King. All right. What do you guys think? You guys ready to rate this flick?
I'm ready to rate this flick. What about you, John? You ready to rate this flick?
Don't go pushing me into Mount Doom. I'll give you my precious review.
All right. Hey, Professor, how do we do our ratings?
We do our ratings on a scale of 1 to 5 fucks. 5 fucks is a movie that we think is cinematic gold. A 1 fuck movie is where you get done watching it and you're thinking, I'm never watching that again.
And what's a 0?
A 0 fuck movie is where you get done watching it, you turn to your buddy and you're like, oh, for shit's sake, what the hell? Why would you make me? I want 3 hours and 21 minutes of my life back.
Or in other words, we just don't give a fuck. All right. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, go ahead.
But before I do, Don,
4.75 folks.
is that your final answer?
Yep.
The Return of the King is everything you'd hope for in a final chapter of this legendary trilogy. Peter Jackson absolutely crushed it. His direction ties everything together with an epic scale and real emotional weight. Howard Shore's score, once again, he delivers. The music in this one is soaring, emotional, and unforgettable. What really blows me away is how consistently excellent all 3 films are. Each one building on the last, in line like Star Wars or The Dark Knight, where every entry just delivers. It also does serious justice to Tolkien's books, especially the ending, which actually feels like an ending. The whole trilogy is so rewatchable, it's always on my list of go-to movies. I'll admit, I was actually sad when it was over, at least until the Hobbit movies gave us a little more Middle-earth to hold on to. Return of the King isn't just a great movie, it's a solid gold send-off to an unforgettable journey. And it's for those reasons I'm giving Return of the King 5 out of 5 fucks.
Bam, nailed it.
No, you didn't.
When it's all cut together, I will. All right, you or me there, guy?
I'll go.
Okay, fire away.
The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, is a fantastic movie. The cinematic score just drives this movie right over the top. And the storytelling is so epic. I cannot think of a trilogy that is comparable other than the Star Wars trilogy when it comes to a fantastic movie experience. The daunting undertaking that this movie must have had, oh my gosh, I can't begin to fathom it. And how this has been created for a timeless experience that I think is going to be something that is going to be a rich watch for me every time I choose to watch it is, it can't be stated enough. It's a fantastic movie. It's easy, a 5-fuck movie. The end of the movie having multiple endings was a little trying, but it's okay. I can live with it. So I am eager to offer this movie up to anybody for a good watch. And I think that I don't know how soon I'll watch it again because it's a really long movie. But regardless of that, I still can't state it enough that this trilogy is just so damn good.
5 fucks from the professor.
You go next.
Hey, I'll go next. I mean, what can I say that we haven't already said? Return of the King, for me, would have been my favorite, except for I just think it's too long. I think after the first ending at Gondor, I mean, I could do without Frodo going to the Undying Lands. I could do without Sam getting married, this, that, and the other. And it just kind of goes on and on and on. Other than that, I mean, it's hard to find anything wrong with this film. It's paced beautifully. It's scored beautifully. It was cast perfect, as were the other two. So this one, for me, is getting 4.75 fucks. With 4.75 fucks from me, 5 fucks from the comic book guy and the professor, that gives the Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, an average of 4.9 fucks, which now ties it in the second spot with Star Wars, Jaws, The Dark Knight, and The Raiders of the Lost Ark. It is slightly better than The Exorcist, Fellowship of the Ring, Into the Spider-Verse, and Kill Bill Volume 1. And it is slightly worse than Back to the Future and The Two Towers. So there you go, boys.
There it is. It is done.
That's it.
Oh, wait.
We can say goodbye to Middle Earth.
Until we do the Hobbit trilogy. So now that we've watched all 3 movies, is there a particular character that you identify with and why?
What about you?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy.
Wormtongue.
No, I identify with Frodo. You give me a task, I may take a long time to get it done, and I will bitch and complain and say fuck it the whole way through, but eventually I get shit done.
There you go. What about you?
I don't know. Somewhere between Merry and Pippin.
Wormtongue?
No, that's you.
Oh, thanks, bud. No. Yeah.
No, he's Sauron.
Yeah, because I'm a dick. So there you go. All right, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of 3 Guys in a Flick. If you would like to know which movie we're going to be reviewing next, please check out the website. Speaking of which, hey, John, where can they find us?
They can find us at www.3guysinaflick.com, where we go ahead and post our show notes. You can find all of our podcasts, and there's a web form on there that you could submit a movie you would like to go in the helmet. You can also find us at all of social media, where I've actually on Tuesdays started posting a little preview of what movie we will be releasing later that week on Thursday. And you can find us at any place that hosts podcasts. In fact, while you're listening to us, give us a like, subscribe, and in the comments, if you want, leave us a movie you would like to go in the helmet.
All right. I just want to thank Ezra S. and Matthew O. for throwing this trilogy into the Broncos helmet. We had a lot of fun reviewing all 3. We hope that you had fun listening to all 3. I also want to thank anyone else who listens and who has suggested a movie. If you keep listening, we'll keep recording. For 3 Guys in a Flick, I'm Don.
I'm John.
And I'm Ken. Thanks for listening.
free guy with some likes, yeah, dive into the flicks. We're here for the real talk, no time for the tricks. Dawn as the captain, steering us right. Kid drops now to shedding light. John with the comics, bringing the hype. From the good, the bad, to the absurd, we break it down, make sure you heard. Passion for the screen, we ride or die about movies. You know we always give a fuck, no lie.
There was another one that I was thinking that I should have wrote down that I didn't write down. I can't remember who said it, and I can't remember what it was.
That's very helpful.
Yes, sorry for wasting those 12 seconds of your life. That's not your. I liked it face.
Uh-huh.
You don't think I know your faces?
You know my old face.
Coming to you from inside Mount Doom. My name is Dawn. Hey, is it hot in here or is it just me?
Oh, it's definitely you.
Oh, okay. Eye contact, bitch. Look at me.
How many teeth did Gollum show in the movie?
How many teeth?
Teeth.
Teeth.
I counted his teeth.
Well, you're fucking insane.
He had 4 teeth on the top and 3 on the bottom.
You know what I'm going to say? Whoop-de-doo, Basil. Act 1, the war begins.
You don't have to read that part.
My precious. All right, go. Elise, we got it.
He's been finding out what day he has to leave in June because he's missing my birthday again. But we have to get matching tattoos before he leaves.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Patrick was going to say you have to get like a colonoscopy or something.
Whoa, bud. See? There you go.
Oh, I just thought it was like Elvin P or something like that.
No, it's the...
So when Frodo puts that ring back on, did it look like maybe Frodo might have just come?
That is quite possible.
And I did not see that coming from you, bud. So, you know what? I'm going to go back and watch it just for that scene.
Did he have like an O face?
He must have, because the professor thought he did. You're giving it $5.
Is that your final answer?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay.
No, 4.75.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, 4.75.
Okay. I got 3. But since,
I got 3 too.
I'll go first. I have Return of the Kink.
That's one I had. I had Return of the Stink.
Ooh. I have The Return of the King sized.
Oh, that's not bad. And I had Return of the Cock.
I have Return of the Schwing. Professor, what do you got?
Nothing.
There you go.
One of these days, I want to sit down and watch them all back to back, the extended versions.
You're fucking insane.
Just sit there for the whole day.
That's not happening for me.
That's how much I love this series.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And I will be holding my swords and wearing my ring.
Of course you will be. All right, may all of your days and nights be filled with happiness. All right, fuck up. Good night.
Catch the vibe as 3 guys in a fight, keep the passion alive. Fuck that.